Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming along to this second monthly update for professionals of 2026. So I'm John Little, I'm Senior Account Manager, and we're also joined by my colleague Steph Ellis, who is a similar role as me, but down in the Southwest.
Hi, everybody.
So today we're going to be talking about TD Talk and taking a deeper dive into this software. Um, the way I like to look at it's a completely free app, and it's one of the things that the power, it's not complexity, but the power of the app is hidden by how simple it is, and we want to kind of open the door to some of the nice stuff underneath that you don't always see. So so TD Talk, it's our completely free text-based communication app. So throughout all this presentation I'm giving, just remember that people who've got an iPad can get this app and all of the features I'm showing, apart from the see-through mode, can get that completely free on their iPad to start communicating straight away. Um, we were really proud on how we designed TD Talk. We designed it very much at the start that people should be able to just look at it and instinctively know how it works. If you look at it and go, oh, it's just a keyboard, that's a bit simple, then we've achieved our design aims of making it something that you can prescribe to one of your service users and instantly they'll know how to use it. But that simple interface, as I mentioned earlier, hides some very powerful features. The great thing about having that simple interface and also limited editability is that there's very little support for professionals to have to get involved. So you'll be able to recommend this software to people and be fairly confident that you won't be visiting repeatedly because A, they don't know how to get started, or B, because they've gone into the settings accidentally and deleted their backspace button and things like that. It's very powerful and flexible, but it's done in a way that it won't require repeated visits and hand holding by you guys. Um, like I say, it's a simple interface, but it hides some very novel and intuitive, innovative features, including cool rate enhancement tools and user empowerment features such as the see-through mode and the quick chat mode. And it fits within the TD collection of tools for eye gaze users. It's not exclusively for eye gaze users, but works beautifully through the Switcher app with TD Browse, TD Phone, and TD Control for Windows users, and links nicely with Assistive Touch for iOS users who are using eye gaze. The access methods are touch or eye tracker, and it's available, like I say, free of charge on the iPad, or it comes on our dedicated communication devices. Now, it's a text-based communication app, and a question we'll often get asked is, well, haven't you got one of those in Communicator 5? Now, Communicator 5 still very much has its place, and it's just worth going through some of the comparative pros and cons or usage scenarios for TD Talk or Communicator 5. So, TD Talk is solely for touch or eye gaze users. Communicator 5 does have more flexibility in terms of opening up access to people who might be using a keyguard or switch access, as well as touch and eye gaze. Um, Communicator 5 is Windows only, whereas TD Talk is iOS or Windows and allows users to move between them. There are a range of keyboards that have been introduced into TD Talk, but Communicator 5 does have more functionality for creating new keyboards and also editing existing keyboards. Both of them work beautifully with the rest of the TD suite or TD collection of software, as I mentioned earlier. And I would say TD Talk is perfect for users who can use TD Browse or TD Control for other functions or TD Phone, or use the Assistive Touch app on iOS when they want to go out on an iPad and do additional things if they're eye gaze users. If you're working with somebody who's perhaps got poorer eye gaze accuracy and needs a nice, safe environment with big buttons and accessible apps, then Communicator 5 might be your option in that instance. So, as I've mentioned, TD Talk is available free of charge on your iPad, and users can get straight away with that, and they can download it themselves without you having to, buy it or anything, just by downloading it from the iPad App Store. However, it also comes as standard on some of our dedicated communication devices, including the iPad-based eye gaze solution, the TD Pilot, our flagship Windows eye gaze devices, the TD I series, the i13 and the i16, and of course the TD Navio touch tablet range. One of the big things we want to get across is about how we can support people if they are unfortunately on a journey with a progressive condition where maybe their device needs or access needs do change. So there are scenarios that people can get started with touch access on a device where they still have access to an iPad using their finger to make selections. And if unfortunately they do have to move to an alternative device such as eye tracking, the user is still using the same software, and also because of the cross-platform backing up and restoring all the language learning, anything they've done in terms of abbreviation expansion, stored phrases, prediction learning, etc., will go forward with that user to their new access solution. And what this means is if somebody has, people with these progressive conditions have a lot of other challenges going on in their lives, and we don't want learning a new, maybe making a switch from TD Talk to Communicator 5 when you go between touch and eye gaze is something that you're going to have to learn a new system, you're going to have to rebuild all your language, etc. Whereas when you go with the TD Talk option, it's seamless as somebody progresses. It's not something that there's a change required or adding to the learning load for the user because they're having to learn a completely new system or rebuild all of their language banking. So I'm going to try and do a live demo of TD Talk. We do have, I've got backup videos if it doesn't work, but I always find that the live demo works better. So I'm going to start by exploring some of the rate enhancement features within TD Talk. So when we bring TD Talk on the screen, I'll just come out of that presentation and launch TD Talk. Hopefully, you look at it and instantly think, oh, it's just a keyboard. There's nothing special in there. It's a keyboard. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is prediction. And you should see fairly familiar prediction cells up at the top there. So if I start to write hello, already, you'll see I've got prediction. One of the things you'll also see is that we have inline prediction, or if you use something like Gmail, it's called Smart Compose. So it's actually guessing the end of my sentence. And if I either touch, if I'm a touch user, or look at the last word in that sentence, so you, it will actually type it for me. So I'm just going to look at the word you, and after my dwell time,
Hello, how are you?
it will type the rest of that sentence. So I'm just going to clear that with that button there. And I'm going to type a completely novel sentence that I've never written before. I'm going to say today we're learning about TD Talk. You'll see throughout the creation, we did have those inline prediction options coming up. What I'm going to do is just speak this a couple of times,
Today we are learning about TD Talk.
and then I'll speak it again.
Today we are learning about TD Talk.
And what I'm able to do is just clear that with the rubbish bin symbol there. And if I start to type again, when it gets to a unique strand of that sentence, because obviously there were um, other phrases come up, it will offer me that prediction. So I can say, today we're learning about TD, and then look at the word TD, and then look at the word talk.
Today we are learning about TD Talk.
I will mention it later, but there is also privacy options so that if it's something where you wouldn't want a phrase you've said coming up on the inline prediction, you can turn on privacy mode so that won't happen. Another useful tool for rate enhancement is abbreviation expansion. So let's just say I want to write, please be patient, I'm using a computer. I know I've got an abbreviation for that one. And you'll see in the first prediction cell, it offers my abbreviation expansion. And I can,
Please be patient. I am using a communication aid to talk.
okay. Now, the way that you create this is the user would look below the screen and bring up the off-screen menu, go to settings, and on the second page there, they would go into conversations. And then here we've got edit abbreviation expansions. And you'll see I've got some here that I've created before, like laugh out loud, I'll be right back, and it's very noisy here. I'm going to create another one, which I should have thought about before. And I'm going to say, I'm going to say, presentations make me nervous. Oh, if I could spell, that would help. And then I can't see the save button because the zoom's on top. And now if I go back to my keyboard, I can't see the X. If I type PMM, you'll see that prediction has come up as an option there, so I can select it. Another rate enhancement, well, not quite rate enhancement, but a tool that does make communication faster is the quick chat mode. So, Steph, would you like to offer me a drink?
John, would you like a drink?
Now, I'm busy writing this sentence about presentations make me nervous, and I want to say yes, please to Steph. But what I don't want to do is type yes, please here, because obviously then when I speak it out, it's going to say presentations make me nervous, yes, please. So what I can do instead is click on this button over to the side, and this brings up the quick chat mode. So I can choose from here, yes, please, and I can speak that out.
Yes, please.
And then I can click on the quick chat mode again, and that will take me straight back to my original sentence. But I can continue writing that without having to delete it. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is some of the message window tools. So the first thing just to notice is that when you're using the software, you've got buttons to basically edit what you're doing. So you've got this one, which is a delete character button. You've got this one, which is the delete word button. And you have this one, which is the clear sentence bar button. So that will clear everything. But let's just say I did that accidentally. We've also got a great undo function, which will bring that for me. I think it'll work again, and I can get the today back as well. You'll also notice that as I start continuing with writing here, the message window expands. And that will expand, and it's great for doing things like maybe a presentation or when you've got more to say. The other thing about the message window tool that you've got is you've got inline editing. And this means that you can change what you've written in a way by just looking at the area you want to change or touching on the area that you want to change. Traditionally on AAC software, if I wanted to say presentations make me very nervous, to actually write that, I would have to like go to the cursor control and go left a word, left a word, left a word to get to the right place. But with eye tracking, I can just look straight at the word nervous, and my buttons haven't popped up. Hang on a second. Zoom's in the way of what I need to do. Maybe I'll show this in a video. I can't actually access the controls. I need to do that. I'm going to show a little video of that. I've got a better video of that. So I'm going to show this video of the inline editing. So I'm writing the sentence, the weather is good for a change, but in this instance, I want to change it to the weather is great for a change. So I just look at the word good, and then I can overtype it like that.
The weather is great for a change.
Also, kind of looking at the expanding message window that I introduced earlier, it's worth noting that you have a great play and pause function. So if you are giving a presentation, you want to pace your delivery, make it feel a little bit more natural rather than the traditional synthesized speech way of like pressing play and it just goes ahead. So if we just watch this in operation now, I'm just writing a little bit more. Then what we do is we click on the play
Thanks
button
for coming to my presentation.
and then look at it again or touch it, and then it will stop. And then when I press play again,
Today I will be introducing the 5 key principles in developing an effective social media strategy for a small business.
so rather than just motoring on through the whole presentation, you can control the flow of the delivery. The other thing, just to show you, I'll probably show you on a screen rather than on my video camera, is that the message window will obviously display on the partner window screen of your device. So if you're running a TD pilot or a TDI series, whatever you're writing, if you want, will display on the back window. So you can either have the partner screen turned off, so it won't say power to break through boundaries, or you can have it in a mode where, a bit like when you're doing a WhatsApp, it will show 3 dots to say that you're composing, and maybe when you press on the speak button, it's displayed on the back. So the partner screen's great for encouraging face-to-face communication, maintaining people's, stop them invading your space when they want to come round and look at the screen, but also it's a great tool for basically communicating in instances when it's difficult to have the device at the volume you need to be heard. So you might, you could speak to somebody in a theatre or what have you. But equally, if you're in a busy bar and what have you, you could someone could look at the back screen and see your message rather than necessarily having the device on full volume. Just going to come past these videos because we've done them. The next thing we're going to explore is the use of stored phrases. So stored phrases, we used to only have, if you remember TD Talk when it was launched, you used to only have 12 stored phrases. Now you can have multiple messages for stored phrases or quick messages. There are unlimited topics you can have, and you choose to have 6 being displayed at a time. And I'm going to show you this with a live demo. In each topic, you have up to 31 messages. 4 of those are one-hit messages, which stay above your keyboard. And then when you go into the category, you'll see 3 pages of 9 messages, so an extra 27 messages. It's really easy to switch between your topics, and the topics are completely user editable. So the user can create their topics and edit them and create new topics and add content to them totally independently. But if you do have a user you want to support a bit more, those can be remotely edited when you basically sign into the Tobii Dynavox and use the backup and restore facility. So someone can do that without actually having the user's device. And as I mentioned before, it's possible to use a privacy mode for topics to restrict learning and display of phrase prediction. I'm going to try and do this as a live demo again. So what we have is one-hit messages here across the top. So I've got
Hey up. Hello. How are you? Goodbye.
And they would always sit above my keyboard. The one-hit messages are linked to the particular topic that you're in. So currently I'm in greetings, but if I was in general, for example, the one-hit messages have changed. So I've got yes and no.
No.
And
wait, please. I'm typing. I need help.
Okay. Now I'm in general at the moment, and if I want to see the messages that are available in general, I click on this button on the top right. And you can see I've got...
Are you kidding? See you later. Please wait until I finish my message before guessing what I mean.
But if I want to change the topic to another topic I've used before, I click on the button at the top, and let's say I've got a doctor's appointment. I can go back to the keyboard and you'll see at the top...
Thanks for seeing me, doctor. Can I have an appointment with the doctor?
So that's the four one-hit messages that are above my keyboard. But if I go into the category itself now with the button on the right-hand side,
It is affecting my sleep. These new tablets are really helping.
um, and then it could be that I've got the grandkids visiting, and I can go to my grandkids topic, and I've got
How was school today?
a favourite for my granddad when I'd go.
There are some biscuits for you in the tin.
And this was my favourite actually.
Do you want some pocket money?
So that's the topics. But if you want to say, well, how do I create and edit topics? Well, the first thing to notice is that there are only 6 topics displayed at any one time, and I've got more topics than that. And yesterday I had a good example where the 6 topics were of I saw why they were so useful. So I was seeing a gentleman who was using TD Talk and a TD Pilot who he was in the later stages of motor neurone disease, and he'd done a lot of work in terms of recorded phrases and pre-prepared phrases. Just around his daily needs and requirements and just greetings and chatting with the family and stuff like that. But it also created, and it was quite sad actually, it did affect me a lot, but it created a series of messages for those close to him towards his, when he, in preparation, when he did get to the latter days. And what he didn't want was those messages being displayed for his family to see the rest of the time. So he was able to create those messages, but have them not being displayed as one of the 6 core messages that were there. The way that you control which categories are available to you is with the pencil symbol at the top. And you can see here that we have different categories available to me. And I can say I'm going to take off greetings, but I'm going to turn on hospital because I've got a visit to the hospital coming up. And now when I look at the 6 that are available, hospital will be included, but greetings wasn't. I haven't actually got any content in hospital, so this is a good example to show you how I might add that. So I go to here, go to the pencil symbol, and it shows me all of my topics, and I go to hospital. If I want to rename hospital, I click on this button here. If I want to delete hospital, I click on this button here. If I want to create a new topic, I click on this button here. But in this instance, I just want to add some messages to the hospital topic. So I'm going to click on this button here, and then this will show me the blank spaces where my messages can be created. So I'm going to click on the top 4, which are my instant one-hit messages, and I'm just, because I can't think of something to say, I'm going to yes, save, and then I click on this one and say no and save, and I might say thanks for visiting me, and save. So those 3 are going to be in the top 4, and then this category could be where I'm going to put the additional messages. So I could say, when will I see the consultant? And I might type here, are my test results back? And if there was something that maybe I didn't want to be displayed on the front page, I can actually cycle across and go to the second page of messages, or even to the third page of messages. And I could say, maybe I didn't want my family to know, but I could say I didn't have a good night last night. And then when I go to the actual topic for hospital, you can see on the keyboard, I've got yes and
Yes, no.
thanks for visiting.
Thanks for visiting me.
When I click on this button, I've got my,
When will I see the consultant? Are my test results back?
if I go to the second page, there's no messages, but when I go to the third page, you'll see I've got maybe something that I want to be a bit more discreet about.
I didn't have a good night last night.
Okay. The other thing, just be aware of when you're creating a topic. So I'm going to create a topic and show you how to add the privacy mode. I'm going to create a topic, and I'm just going to call it My Hobbies. And let's say my hobbies were, I don't know, hobbies is barely a confidential thing, but if you didn't want anything on your hobbies being displayed in your prediction, if you tick this box, privacy mode, whenever you've got the hobbies section open, all the prediction, inline prediction, etc., won't learn. So that's the stored phrases, really, really useful for efficient communication. What I'm going to do now is just talk a little bit about languages. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. I should also say, actually, with regards to the stored phrases, if you have created a cappella my own voice and added additional phrases in a recorded voice, if they're encountered in the phrase bank, they'll be spoken in your recorded voice rather than the synthesized version of your voice banking. In terms of access, the access methods are touch or eye gaze. You can turn on, you can access with eye gaze through dwell, or if you can also access a switch without moving your head or eyes, then one of the fastest input methods is the combination of gaze and switch, where you look at your target, then press the switch to activate it. A really useful function in the settings is the ability to have independent dwell time settings for general buttons, so navigating through the speak and undo and clear word and things like that. Different dwell time for keyboard letters and a different dwell time for prediction cells. And this is really useful for maybe you know your way around the keyboard and you can type really quickly, but let's say you're writing the word psychology. When you start writing PSY, you're going to find that you're going to be presented with a whole load of words that fundamentally look very similar: psychologist, psychiatrist, and it might take you longer than your normal dwell time to be able to read those words. And in the process of reading them, you don't want them to be selected. So maybe you have a dwell time on your keyboard letters of 0.8 of a second, but then for the prediction buttons, you have 1.2 seconds. I don't know if you've heard, but one of the options you can have as well to just reassure you you've made a selection is the button click feedback sound. So it clicks when you make a selection. So sometimes people don't dwell on a button long enough, but that little click when people are first starting can be helpful for that reassurance. And then in TD Talk, we've now got alternative keyboard layouts, QWERTY ABC or a two-hit large keys keyboard. So these are the screens in the settings where you would change the dwell time for general access buttons, your keyboard keys and the prediction cells. And you'll see here I've got 9/10 of a second there and 1.4 seconds for the prediction buttons. And I did show this in the last session, but this is the different keyboard options that you have, the ability to have QWERTY alphabetical or two-step large keys. You either change that in the keyboard area of settings, or on the keyboard you've got the language switcher button and you can change the keyboard layout there. And this is what it looks like, the standard QWERTY layout. You've got the ABC layout, and you also have the two-hit keyboard where you would make a selection from one of these buttons, and then if you were looking for the H, you would go into the section with H, and then you could type hello that way. So I'm going to talk about languages. On the keyboard, you'll see that there is a globe button that allows you to quickly change your language. And when you change a language, it changes the keyboard layout, the prediction language, and the synthesizer. And we have 40 different languages available from Afrikaans to Ukrainian. And it's really easy to switch between those. I'm going to quickly go back to the software to show you that in operation. So I'm going to go back to the keyboard. Here are languages that I have already. So I'm just going to clear the sentence bar. So you'll see that currently
The information.
it's in English. But when I go to the globe symbol here, I can switch to French. And French is set up with the large keys keyboard, which I didn't really...
Merci pour votre recherche.
You'll see that it changed the keyboard layout, it changed the prediction, and it changed the language as well, the synthesizer language. So if I go to Italian, clear that sentence, you'll see I've got Italian prediction. I don't know what I'm writing here.
Ciao Marco D'Ambros che non si può.
Okay, if you do want to go through the process of adding a new language, you go to the off-screen menu, the three dots, the settings cog, and then under the keyboard menu, you go to the second page here, and then you go add or change a language. And I'm going to download a new language, and I guess I don't know what I've got here. I'm guessing, is that Macedonian? I'm going to do this. I have no idea what language that is. What it should do is, after it's downloaded that language, it will ask you what voice you want to use, and you would need to download a voice, and we can click on Alexander. So the next thing to talk about with that is, and it's a companion to the languages, is the voices. So TD Talk supports an absolutely huge range of voices. I don't know everybody's software to say this, but I would suggest it's either got the most voices of any AAC software, or it's very much up there. And that's because it's got the common voices that you would come across, the a cappella, nuance, or serents, but it's got the addition of Microsoft Neural Voices. So the Microsoft Neural Voices, I think we were the first ones to bring these to market. And that gives us over 800 different synthesized voices, covering over 90 languages or locales. To help you with choosing the right voice, you do get a filter tool to allow you to choose whether it's a male or female, or a child or an adult voice, to get you to the right language quickly. And if something's never sounding right, like all AAC software, there is a pronunciation exception tool to help with the pronunciation. In terms of voice banking support, we have support for Model Talker, Speak Unique on Windows, Apple Personal Voice on the iPad, the Voice Keeper, and a cappella My Own Voice. And as I mentioned before, if you have created pre-recorded messages in My Own Voice, they'll be spoken out as recordings rather than a synthesized voice, which really kind of gets the tone and melody of something. If you're telling somebody you love them or that you're proud of them, it's not going to sound like a synthesized voice. I've showed this before, but it just kind of talks about the power of the Microsoft Neural Voices. Bit raspy on the video, but it's not in the original. And basically, the Microsoft Neural Voices allow you to use multilingual voices. So where people are speaking in two different voices because they're bilingual, or three different voices if they're multilingual, a problem before is the jarring sound change when somebody changes their synthesizer to match the language they're speaking in. The Microsoft Neural Voices have a collection of different voices, in this instance, Jenny. So Jenny will speak in 50 different languages or dialects. So you'll see we've got Jenny as a British English, Australian English, and American English. And I think that's Indian English, is it? But if we click on here,
this is a sample of
just
how
going to
Jenny
give some
sounds.
examples of
This
Jenny
is a sample
speaking.
of how Jenny sounds. This is a sample of how
So
Jenny sounds.
fundamentally, it's the same voice model, but speaking the different
Ceci
languages
est un exemple de la façon dont Jenny sonne.
fluently.
Ceci est un exemple de la façon dont Jenny sonne.
So the switching isn't jarring.
Este es un ejemplo de cómo suena Jenny.
So Spanish, and
Este es un ejemplo de cómo
Spanish.
suena Jenny. Dit is een voorbeeld van hoe Jenny klinkt. Detta är ett exempel på hur Jenny låter.
Swedish.
Detta är ett exempel på hurdan Jenny hörs ut. 这是 Jenny 听起来如何的视力。
These, I'll stop there. But that's the power of the Microsoft Neural Voices. Do really explore them if you've got somebody who's speaking in more than one language. Another great feature, and I would say is one of the most wonderful features of TD Talk and very unique, is the see-through mode. So the see-through mode really helps with kind of, if you've got a device that's mounted to your wheelchair and it's sitting in front of you, sometimes it can be a blocker to a natural conversation. With the see-through mode, it basically uses the camera and then puts it on top of, underneath your keyboard, so you can see what's behind you. So much better situational awareness. I sort of tested this out in a conference, and it really, kind of allowed me to see what was going on in the conference, but still use the software. But like I say, much better for encouraging face-to-face communication. So I've got a little video demo of that because it's hard to show live.
I think we should cut the grass.
So we look below the screen and go to the eye symbol, and that will turn on the camera. And what you'll see is you've got a view of what's behind, but even the keyboard is slightly translucent, so you can see through the keyboard.
The lawnmower is in the shed.
If you want to turn that off, you just look below the keyboard again. That will pop up the off-screen menu and look at the eye symbol, and then that will go. Another great feature is the ability to use a My Tobii Dynavox account to back up and restore your language. So that's backing up topics, quick messages, phrases, phrase prediction, word prediction, and pronunciation exceptions. And that means that you can move cross-platform if you're moving from an iPad to a Windows device. But it also supports remote editing, so somebody could edit your files without taking your device away. And I think most importantly, it supports the progression path. So if somebody's access method changes, as I said earlier, and they have to move to a new device with a different access method, all of the language learning that the software did will go with them. All of their stored phrases and phrase bank and phrase prediction will go with them to the new device. As I mentioned, and I'm conscious I've gone over time, so I'll just whiz through this. TD Talk is part of the overall TD collection, so that's TD Phone, TD Control, TD Browse, and TD Talk. So you've got the ability to chat with TD Talk, but if you look below the screen, it brings this icon up. You can see here that's getting highlighted with a green circle. That's the Switcher app. The Switcher app allows you to seamlessly switch between any open program, any favorite program, or any other Tobii Dynavox software title. So you can switch to your apps by looking below the screen, and it might be that you switch to TD Control. That comes with our eye trackers, so hopefully you're familiar with that. Gives you full access to everything you'd normally do with a mouse or a keyboard. And then we would have TD Browse, which is our purpose-built web browser for eye gaze users that does away with the zooming into targets by using these colored call-out buttons to hit targets that are, close to adjacent to each other, but the call-out colored buttons are far away from each other, which means you can make selections without zooming, so it's much quicker and intuitive. You can switch to TD Phone to make calls and text messages and things like that. Or if you're using the device on an iPad, you could be using TD Talk. If you're using it on the TD Pilot, you would look below the screen, look at that white circle down at the bottom, and that would restart your assistive touch tool, which is the white circle on the right-hand side of the screen. The user could look at that and bring up their assistive touch menu to be able to go home. Then they're off in the iOS app environment, and they could do things like web browsing. So that's all from me. I'm just going to bring the recording to an end, and then if you've got any questions, now's the perfect time.